Hey, what's up guys, it's BenBonk and welcome back to the 4th Slimekeep Devlog. But before we get into the devlog, I want to remind you guys that I am hosting a game jam which will be starting approximately in 2 weeks, so if you want to join that, the link will be in the description below. So originally I was going to have this devlog be where I make a bunch of different new slime enemies, but I decided to kind of postpone that because there's a lot of just player feedback and small weapon updates that I wanted to make before I started working on new enemies. So without further ado, let's get into the devlog. So the first thing I started working on were some color palette changes, and as you can see I changed the background of my game from that light green to a more darker green, which I think is a really good change because you can see things much better and you can see enemies and yourself much clearer now. I also tuned down some of the post-processing and bloom effects. I thought they were a little too visible. I kind of wanted to make sure to stick to kind of the Game Boy feel and not just ruin that from there. So yeah, as you can see, everything is much more visible and clear after these changes. The next thing I started working on was this infinite ammo symbol for the pistol, because I figured it'd make much more sense for the pistol to have infinite ammo, just so you can shoot it more and you won't actually run out of bullets. So after I got the infinite ammo system up in place, I started working on this recoil system, so I created a variable where, as you can see, whenever I shoot, it'll shoot me back a different amount of force depending on how much recoil force I want to add to my player. This recoil also scales off of how far away your mouse is from the player, so the far away your mouse is, the more recoil you actually have. It's slightly noticeable, but I think it's a pretty cool effect. Another really small change that I made was I made the animation for the particle effects a little longer and more spread out, so it actually looks like you're actually shooting, has a little bit more of an impact, which is what I'm really working on for this video, is making sure my shooting and hitting enemies has more of an impact. While I was reading for the comments for the last video, I got a really good one that was telling me that I really shouldn't be scaling up my pixel art, and I totally agree. Previously I was scaling up a bunch of the weapons and a bunch of the other things that just made my game not look as good. So I really wanted to make sure to hop on this now and make sure my game wouldn't be, got super far in the development while I was just scaling up my weapons or scaling them down. And so I pretty much worked on scaling all my weapons to keep them at scale at 1, and just making sure that I have that as a basis, which makes the weapons look a little bigger. They kind of cover up the player, but it definitely makes them look much better overall. As of now, my weapon shooting was still feeling a little plain, and it just didn't seem like there was enough impact when you shoot. Because I really want to make it when you shoot, you really feel like there's impact and you actually shot something. So as of now, that just wasn't the case. So I worked on this kind of bullet flash, and so whenever you shoot, it makes like this flash animation, which I think looks pretty nice. And it's just another right step in the direction for improving player feedback in the game. Another small but really important fix I needed to make was, you might have saw in the last clip, whenever I shoot from the left side of the gun, you might see that my shot point goes a little under the actual gun, which makes for a really weird shoot effect, and it looks like you're not shooting in the right direction. Now previously, to flip my gun, I was just flipping my sprite render of my gun, but I changed this by flipping the actual scale of my gun, which fixed the problem, and now my gun would shoot perfectly. I still felt like my gun didn't have enough impact, and so I also tried to make a shoot animation, so whenever I shoot my gun, it'll rotate up. But unfortunately I had a lot of problems with that, and it just wouldn't scale with my rotations correctly, so I instead opted for this kind of scale kind of shoot. It's probably not as good as the rotation kind of shoot method that I was going for. I still think it looks pretty good. Now that I had that working, another extremely suggested thing in the comments of the last video to make that my shotgun could shoot multiple projectiles, and instead of just going in a straight line, they would actually, have a kind of offset, and they would, go at different angles. I totally agree. I kind of just made the shotgun just go in 3 straight lines, just because I got kind of lazy. I didn't feel like making, a kind of angle rotation system. But eventually, I did spend a lot of time working on this rotation system, so I made a system where I pretty much could add an offset, so whenever my bullets shoot, I can add a different angle or what angle they'll shoot at. So I used this kind of logic for my shotgun system and launched 3 different bullets at different offsets or different angles they would shoot out of. And in some time I got it working, and I think it looks really cool and much better than my last shotgun. Another really small thing I want to add is, while I was creating this bullet offset system, I accidentally created this kind of bullet follow system by complete accident, but I think it makes it for a really cool effect, which I might transform into a weapon sometime later on in another devlog. Something I got a ton of requests for was to update the cannon, because the cannon felt a little plain. So I updated the art so I wouldn't have to scale up the cannonballs to make them look right, which makes them look much better overall. And on top of that, I wanted to make sure that I could make my cannon unique. So I tried to unfortunately create this kind of cannonball system where they could bounce off enemies or bounce off walls. I couldn't figure it out, but I just want to let you know that I did try to figure out some kind of system. I want to make sure that each weapon is unique. I don't want every weapon to feel like the same kind of reskin or just the same weapon but with shooting different bullets or with a different look. And I want to make sure that each weapon kind of has their own kind of advantages, disadvantages, pros and cons, and unique effects. And so I fortunately couldn't figure it out for this weapon, but just know that I am going to try to make sure each weapon is unique and has some kind of cool effects going on from now. And while I'm on this topic, I want to let you guys know that I didn't actually make any new weapons in this video, but just do know that I am going to make some melee weapons, some laser weapons, grenade launchers, all that kind of stuff. I have been reading your comments, so don't worry, I will try to add that sometime in the future. A request that I've been getting a ton is to update the sniper and make it unique. So I created it so the sniper can actually shoot through walls, and on top of that it can shoot through enemies, which I think it makes it more unique and actually pretty strong overall. I also got a ton of suggestions to make it zoom out and stuff, but I'm going to hold off on that for now, just because I don't know how it's going to work in relation to random generation and different rooms and all that kind of stuff, but I might add it in the future sometime. Another piece of player feedback that I wanted to make sure to add was you can actually tell when the rockets explode and what particles are going to hit the enemies when it explodes. And so I decided to make a custom animation for whenever the rocket does explode instead of a particle system, which looks so much better overall. So I spent a ton of time working on this explosion animation inside of Sprite, and then I imported it into Unity and I set it up, and now it looks much better overall. Another piece of player feedback that I wanted to improve was my enemy spawning, because as you can see, whenever my enemies spawn, they just fade in and it's not too clear when they actually spawn. So I created a kind of gungeon-like spawning system so you can see where the enemies spawn in and they'll actually move towards you after that. This took absolutely forever because it kind of conflicted with my current upgrading system. It wouldn't let me upgrade the sprites, which took hours and hours to actually fix, but I ended up having to kind of rework how I spawn in enemies. But after that, I got it working and my enemies would spawn in and everything would work nicely. The next thing that I decided to work on / update was something that was absolutely massive, and while it might not be noticeable, it definitely changed the game for the better. Pretty much, I tried to update my whole entire kind of weapon class system and weapon, ammo and projectile system. Because I used to have some weapons would have their own separate scripts, which wasn't too effective, and I would have to make so many extra scripts, which just made things much more complicated. So I pretty much put every single weapon in just this one single weapon script, and I just checked bools to see which weapon you're actually using, and it'll act differently. So they're all in this one script, which makes things so much easier. And I also ought to just make sure there's only a few projectile scripts. So just pretty much, while it may not be noticeable at all, I didn't make any changes, I actually made some pretty massive changes, and it should make the game run a little better. It would not clog up some stuff, but yeah, it was a pretty small change, for the eye, but it's really, it was really necessary to make my game run better, and I'm just really glad I got that done. Another piece of player feedback that I added was a new animation for the weapon, which I call the shooty. I might change the name of it, but it pretty much fires out kind of 2 bullets, which is, or basically 1 bullet. So I made this new animation, which is kind of similar to the explosion I made for the rocket launcher. But yeah, it's just a simple animation. It has 2 balls that kind of explode out, and again, I'm really happy with this animation, how it turned out, and it just adds that extra bit of, game feel and polish to the game. I also got a few suggestions from the community to make some guns inaccurate. I thought this would work really well in the machine gun, so I made a bool that I can check if I want that weapon to shoot inaccurate projectiles. And I'm really happy with the result, and so as you can see, the machine gun now shoots pretty inaccurate projectiles, which can make it pretty hard to kill slime sometimes, but it kind of does balance out the machine gun because it was kind of OP before I added this, but now it's a little bit more fair, just because some of the bullets are a little bit inaccurate. But yeah, I might be adding this effect to some other weapons later in the future, but I'll just have to see. You thought I had enough player feedback? Well, you're wrong, because I added even more player feedback, this time to the dash. Because in the last dash, it was a little plain. You couldn't actually tell when you're really dashing, just besides, actually seeing if you speed up or not. So I created this dash effect, and I created it so whenever I kind of dash around, you can see that I play my dash effect. I think it looks pretty nice overall. And then the absolute two final things that I will address in this video is I kind of made some Slimegoop, as it was heavily requested. It's just a particle system for now, but I might make it permanent. I'm not sure. I'll have to see. I might change it in the future. But then I also made these kind of toxic barrels where you can explode. You know, if you shoot them 10 times or just get 10 damage onto them, they will explode, which I think is a pretty cool effect. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been working on since the last devlog. I know a lot of these things are just small, you know, kind of polished player feedback adjustments, but I think they were pretty important, just making my game get that extra game juice and game feel aspect. Just note that I have seen a ton of you guys' suggestions in the comments below for different kinds of enemies, weapons, all that kind of stuff. I'm planning to add that sometime in the future. Just I have a lot of things that I need to do right now, and I want to make sure I can get, you know, kind of stuff that I need to do done first. And then just two more things that I wanted to share with you guys, just because it's kind of relevant to Slimekeep. The first thing was actually happened a few weeks ago, and Danny commented on one of Bandsman Sam's games videos and said that he liked the art style for our game, which is really cool because Danny's a really cool guy. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And then also we got our Ludum Dare results. We got like around 300th place or something. You know, it's not the best. There's over 1,000 contestants, but you know what? I am still proud. I'm still proud that I'm transforming this game into a better game. So but yeah, 300th around 1,500, 200 submissions isn't too bad overall. But yeah, just thought I'd share that with you guys. So that's pretty much all I have to say for this devlog. If you guys did like the video, you know, make sure to leave a like or subscribe. That'd be really awesome. We've been getting so much growth recently, so thank you guys so much for all the growth. And yeah, if you want to join the Discord, the Game Jam, that'd also be really cool. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.